He took his daughter to the emergency room and found his ex giving birth to his new son. Single father Ryan Matthews rushed his 4-year-old daughter Emma to Children's Hospital with a dangerous fever, never imagining he'd find his ex-girlfriend Zara in the maternity ward giving birth to their son. She had hidden her pregnancy for 9 months after their devastating breakup, choosing to raise the baby alone rather than disrupt the life he was rebuilding. But when fate brought them together at the exact moment their son took his first breath, they discovered that some love stories don't end. They just take unexpected detours before finding their way home. Get ready for a story that will leave you speechless and make you believe in the power of destiny. Stay with me until the very end because this story will restore your faith in humanity. Remember to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and comment your thoughts throughout the story. Your engagement helps us bring you more incredible narratives. The digital thermometer read 104.2 degrees Fahrenheit, and 4-year-old Emma Matthews lay listlessly in her father's arms, her usually bright eyes glazed with fever. Ryan's hands shook as he grabbed his keys, his phone, and the diaper bag that had become his constant companion since becoming a single father 8 months ago. "Daddy, I don't feel good," Emma whispered, her voice barely audible above the sound of his racing heartbeat. "I know, sweetheart. We're going to the hospital where the doctors will make you feel better," Ryan said, trying to keep the panic out of his voice as he carried her to his car. At 28, Ryan had thought he'd prepared for every aspect of single parenthood after his girlfriend Zara had left them both without explanation. He'd learned to braid hair, pack school lunches, and navigate bedtime stories, but medical emergencies still terrified him in ways that reminded him how much he wished Emma's mother was still in their lives. The emergency room at Children's Hospital buzzed with the controlled chaos of medical professionals treating young patients. Ryan approached the triage nurse with Emma burning up in his arms. "My daughter has a fever of 104.2. She's been like this for 2 hours and it's not responding to children's medication." "Name and date of birth?" the nurse asked deficiently. "Emma Matthews, born April 15, 2020. "And you are?" "Ryan Matthews, her father." "Her mother isn't, she's not available." The nurse noted something in Emma's file, then looked up with professional compassion. "We'll get Emma seen right away. High fevers in children her age need immediate attention." As they were led to a pediatric examination room, Ryan's mind raced through worst-case scenarios. Meningitis, brain fever, infections that could be life-threatening in small children. 8 months of raising Emma alone had taught him to handle scraped knees and bad dreams, but this level of medical crisis made him feel helpless in ways that broke his heart. "Mr. Matthews?" Dr. Sarah Williams entered the room with the calm authority that parents desperately needed during medical emergencies. "I'm going to examine Emma and run some tests to determine what's causing this fever." "Is she going to be okay?" Ryan asked, holding Emma's small hand while she drifted in and out of fevered sleep. "We're going to take excellent care of her. High fevers are scary, but they're usually treatable once we identify the cause." As Dr. Williams conducted her examination, Ryan found himself thinking about Zara for the first time in weeks. During Emma's previous medical visits, he'd caught himself looking for Zara in waiting rooms, hoping she might appear to help him navigate the terrifying responsibility of protecting their child's health. "Mr. Matthews, I need to run some blood work and possibly a spinal tap to rule out serious infections. The procedures will take a few hours, and Emma will need to be admitted for observation." "A spinal tap? Is that dangerous?" "It's a standard procedure when we're dealing with high fevers in young children. I need to be thorough to ensure we're not missing anything serious." "Whatever you need to do. I just want her to be okay. Why don't you handle the admission paperwork while we prepare Emma for the tests? She's going to be sedated, so this is a good time for you to take care of the administrative details." Ryan kissed Emma's forehead, whispering promises that Daddy would be right back, then followed the administrative staff to handle insurance forms and medical history questions that reminded him of everything he was facing alone. "Emergency contact besides yourself?" the clerk asked. Ryan paused, realizing he still listed Zara's information despite the fact that she'd been gone for 8 months. I need to update that information. No problem. Do you have someone else we can contact in case of emergency? My sister in California. But she's 3,000 miles away. The clerk made notes while Ryan provided updated information, struck by how completely alone he and Emma were in facing medical crises. Mr. Matthews, your daughter is being prepped for testing now. You can wait in the family lounge on the 3rd floor, or if you prefer, there's a chapel on the 2nd floor that many parents find helpful during stressful situations. Ryan chose the 3rd floor family lounge, needing to stay close to where Emma was being treated. The space was designed for worried parents, comfortable seating, soft lighting, and the kind of calm atmosphere that provided comfort during medical nightmares. He was reviewing Emma's test timeline when he heard a familiar voice from the hallway. I need to get to the maternity ward immediately. The contractions are 2 minutes apart. Ryan's blood froze as he recognized the voice he'd been missing for 8 months. He moved to the lounge doorway and saw Zara being helped into a wheelchair by hospital staff, her hugely pregnant belly making it impossible for him to mistake what was happening. Zara? He called out, his voice carrying shock, confusion, and a dozen other emotions he couldn't process. She turned toward him, and their eyes met for the first time since the day she'd walked out of their shared apartment without explanation. Her face cycled through surprise, panic, and something that looked like relief before settling on the expression of a woman in active labor. Ryan? What are you doing here? Emma's sick. High fever. They're running tests. He moved closer, still trying to comprehend that Zara was about to give birth. Zara, are you? In labor? Very much in labor. Whose baby? Another contraction hit her before she could answer, and the medical staff began moving her wheelchair toward the elevators. Sir, are you the father? One of the nurses asked Ryan. I don't know. Yes, Zara gasped between contractions. He's the father. The world tilted as Ryan processed what she'd just admitted. Zara was giving birth to his child, a child she'd hidden from him for 9 months while he'd been raising Emma alone and wondering why she'd left them. Sir, if you're the father, you need to come with us now, the nurse said urgently. This baby is coming very quickly. Ryan looked toward the pediatric wing where Emma was undergoing tests, then at Zara who was about to give birth to their son, torn between the child who needed him and the child who was about to enter the world. Emma, he said desperately. Go, Zara said through gritted teeth. Go be with Emma. I can handle this alone. No, Ryan replied, surprising himself with the firmness of his decision. I'm not letting you go through this alone again. He turned to the nearest nurse. My daughter is having tests done in pediatrics. Emma Matthews, room 314. Can someone check on her status and let Dr. Williams know I'll be in maternity? Of course, sir. We'll coordinate between departments. As the elevator doors closed with Ryan, Zara, and the medical team inside, he realized that the next few hours would either reunite his family or force him to navigate the most complicated situation of his life. The woman he'd never stopped loving was about to give birth to their son while their daughter fought a fever 3 floors below. Everything he thought he knew about his life was about to change in ways he couldn't have imagined when he'd rushed Emma to the hospital that morning. Zara, he said as another contraction gripped her, we need to talk. After, she managed. After the baby comes. After Emma is okay. After we figure out how to explain all of this. After, Ryan agreed, taking her hand as the elevator reached the maternity ward. But we are going to talk. About everything. As they were rushed into a delivery room, neither of them knew that Emma's fever was breaking naturally, that their son would be born healthy and perfect, or that the next 24 hours would prove that some families are meant to be together no matter how many obstacles life places in their path. The emergency that brought them to the hospital was about to become the miracle that brought them home. The delivery room at Children's Hospital had seen thousands of births, but few as emotionally charged as the one unfolding between two people who had spent 8 months believing their love story was over. Zara gripped Ryan's hand as another contraction peaked, her face a mixture of physical pain and emotional turmoil. "How long have you known?" Ryan asked between contractions, his voice gentle despite the shock coursing through his system. "Since 2 weeks after I left," Zara gasped. "I was already pregnant when I walked out." "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because..." Another contraction cut off her words, and she squeezed his hand with surprising strength for someone who weighed barely more than she had before pregnancy. Dr. Martinez, the attending obstetrician, looked up from her examination. "Zara, you're fully dilated. This baby is ready to be born. I need you to push on the next contraction." "Ryan, I can't do this with you here," Zara said desperately. "This isn't how I planned." "How did you plan it?" "I planned to do it alone. I planned for you to never know. I planned to raise him by myself so you could focus on Emma without complications." "Push, Zara," Dr. Martinez commanded. "Your baby needs you to push." As Zara bore down with the next contraction, Ryan felt his world reshaping itself around the reality of becoming a father again. But this time, he was present for the birth, watching his son fight his way into the world instead of missing the moment like he had with Emma's premature delivery 4 years ago. "I can see the head," Dr. Martinez announced. "One more big push and you'll meet your son." "Our son," Ryan corrected, his voice thick with emotion. "Zara, this is our son." "Ryan, you don't understand what you're saying. I understand that I love you. I understand that I've missed you every day for 8 months. I understand that you're about to give birth to my child, and I'm not missing another moment of being his father." The final push brought their son into the world with a lusty cry that filled the delivery room and seemed to announce his displeasure at the complicated circumstances of his birth. Dr. Martinez placed the baby on Zara's chest, and both parents stared at the tiny person who had just made them a family again. "He's perfect," Ryan whispered, reaching out to touch his son's tiny hand. "He's beautiful," Zara agreed, tears streaming down her face as she looked at the baby she'd carried alone for 9 months. "What's his name?" I wanted to name him after you. Ryan James, if that's okay." "You named him after me even though you were planning to raise him alone?" "Because he's part of you. Even if we couldn't be together, I wanted him to carry something of his father." Dr. Martinez finished the delivery process and handed baby Ryan to his father while the nursing staff attended to Zara's recovery. Holding his son for the first time, Ryan felt the same overwhelming love that had consumed him when Emma was born, but also a deep sadness for the months of pregnancy he'd missed. "Zara, why did you leave? Why did you think raising our children alone was better than raising them together?" "Because you already had Emma, and she was your priority. Adding another baby to the equation felt like I was trapping you in a life you hadn't chosen." "I chose you. I chose Emma. I would have chosen our son too. But Emma's not mine, Ryan. She's yours and your ex-wife's. I was just the girlfriend who helped raise her for 2 years before her mother died." Ryan stared at Zara, finally understanding the insecurity that had driven her away. "Emma thinks of you as her mother. Emma thinks of me as the woman who lived with Daddy for a while. When her real mother died, I became a substitute. When I got pregnant, I realized I was asking you to choose between your daughter and my pregnancy. You weren't asking me to choose anything. You were asking me to love both my children. Children who have different mothers, Ryan. Children who would grow up knowing that Daddy's girlfriend got pregnant and complicated everything." A knock at the delivery room door interrupted their conversation. Dr. Williams entered with a smile that immediately eased Ryan's anxiety about Emma. "Mr. Matthews? I have good news about Emma. Her fever has broken, and the test results show a simple viral infection. She's awake, asking for Daddy, and wondering why there are balloons in her room that she didn't have before." "Balloons?" Ryan looked confused. "The maternity ward sent congratulations balloons when they heard you had a new baby. Emma is very curious about who the new baby is." Ryan looked at Zara, then at their newborn son, then back at Dr. Williams. How much does Emma know? She knows Daddy is somewhere in the hospital with a new baby. She's asked if the baby is hers. What did you tell her? I told her that was a question for Daddy to answer. After Dr. Williams left, Ryan and Zara sat in the quiet delivery room processing the magnitude of their situation. Their son slept peacefully in the hospital bassinet while Emma recovered 3 floors below, unaware that her family had just grown by one person. What do we tell her? Zara asked. We tell her the truth. That Mommy Zara came back and brought her baby brother. Mommy Zara? Ryan, I can't just walk back into her life after disappearing for 8 months. You didn't disappear. You made a choice based on fear instead of love. There's a difference. What if she's angry at me for leaving? Then we help her work through those feelings. But Zara, Emma has been asking about you every day since you left. She's been sleeping with the stuffed elephant you gave her and insisting that we set a place for you at dinner because maybe you'll come home. She's been setting a place for me? Every night for 8 months. She never stopped believing you'd come back. Zara burst into fresh tears, overwhelmed by the loyalty of a 4-year-old who had refused to give up on her despite her abandonment. How do I make up for leaving her? By not leaving again. By understanding that loving me means loving Emma too, and that having our son doesn't diminish your role in her life, it expands it. What if I'm not good enough to be their mother? You're already their mother, Zara. Emma chose you, our son is biologically yours, and I chose you to be the woman who helps me raise both our children. But your ex-wife, said Zara. Emma's biological mother died in a car accident when Emma was 2. You're the only mother she remembers, the only mother she wants. The weight of this revelation settled over Zara as she understood that her insecurities about being a stepmother had been based on competing with a memory rather than a living person. Ryan, I thought I was just temporary in Emma's life until you found someone more suitable to be her mother. I already found someone suitable. I found you. Emma found you. We both chose you, and then you chose to leave us. Because I was scared. Of what? Of not being enough. Of you resenting me for getting pregnant when you were still grieving Emma's mother. Of our son growing up feeling like he disrupted a perfect little family. Our family was never perfect, Zara, but it was ours. And now it can be complete if you're brave enough to come home. Before Zara could respond, another knock interrupted them. A nurse wheeled in a small patient wearing hospital pajamas and a bright smile that lit up the entire room. Someone heard Daddy was visiting the baby floor, the nurse announced cheerfully. Emma. Ryan stood immediately, gathering his daughter into his arms. Sweetheart, how are you feeling? Much better. My fever is gone and I'm hungry. Emma looked around the room with 4-year-old curiosity. Daddy, why are you in the baby room? Emma's eyes found Zara in the hospital bed, and her expression shifted from curiosity to shock to pure joy. Mommy Zara. Emma squirmed out of Ryan's arms and ran to the bed. You came back. You came back just like I knew you would. Zara gathered Emma into her arms, both of them crying as 8 months of separation melted away in an instant. I missed you so much, baby girl, Zara whispered into Emma's hair. I missed you too. Daddy and I saved your place at dinner every night. We knew you'd come home. Emma, Ryan said gently, Mommy Zara brought someone special with her. Emma noticed the bassinet for the first time, her eyes widening as she realized what it meant. Is that my baby brother? Do you want him to be your baby brother? Zara asked carefully. I've been asking God for a baby brother every night in my prayers. And I asked God to bring you home. He brought you both at the same time. As Emma peered into the bassinet at her sleeping brother, Ryan and Zara exchanged glances over her head, both understanding that their family had just been reunited by the kind of perfect timing that could only be called miraculous. The emergency that had brought them to the hospital was revealing itself as the blessing that would bring them all home. 24 hours later, Ryan found himself in the surreal position of preparing to take home both a recovered 4-year-old and a newborn, with the woman he'd thought he'd lost forever sitting beside him in the hospital discharge area. The administrative process of adding Zara back to Emma's emergency contacts and listing himself as baby Ryan's father felt like rebuilding their lives one form at a time. Mr. Matthews, Mrs.? The discharge nurse paused, looking between Ryan and Zara uncertainly. Williams, Zara supplied. Zara Williams. We're not married. But you're going home together? The nurse asked, trying to understand their family dynamic for the discharge paperwork. We're figuring it out, Ryan replied honestly, which seemed to satisfy the nurse's need for clarity about living arrangements. Emma, fully recovered and bubbling with excitement about her baby brother, had appointed herself the family's chief organizer. Mommy Zara, did you bring clothes for baby Ryan? Because babies need lots of clothes and blankets and bottles and diapers. I have some things at my apartment, Zara said carefully, not wanting to presume anything about where she'd be living now that they'd been reunited. Your apartment? Emma's face fell. But you're coming home with us, right? To our house where your place at the table is. Ryan and Zara exchanged glances over Emma's head, both aware that they needed to have serious conversations about logistics, emotions, and the future before making commitments in front of their daughter. Emma, sweetheart, Ryan said gently, Mommy Zara and I need to talk about where everyone is going to live. It's complicated when families change. But we're a family again, right? Me and you and Mommy Zara and baby Ryan? Yes, Zara said without hesitation, then looked at Ryan with determination. Yes, we're a family. The drive from the hospital to Ryan's house, their house, as Emma kept correcting, was filled with Emma's chatter about everything baby Ryan would need to know about being part of their family. The car seats Ryan had hastily purchased that morning for both children seemed to make their new reality more concrete. Baby Ryan needs to know that we have pancakes on Sunday mornings, Emma announced from her car seat. And that Daddy makes the best grilled cheese sandwiches. And that Mommy Zara sings the prettiest lullabies. Does Mommy Zara still sing lullabies? Ryan asked, glancing at Zara in the passenger seat. I've been practicing, Zara admitted. I hoped maybe someday I'd have the chance to sing them again. For baby Ryan? For both my children. The house looked exactly as Zara remembered it, but smaller somehow, as if her memories had expanded it during 8 months of missing everything about the life she'd left behind. Ryan carried baby Ryan while Zara helped Emma up the front steps, and all of them paused at the threshold. Welcome home, Emma announced ceremoniously, then ran inside to show baby Ryan his new room. Ryan, wait, Zara said before they followed Emma inside. I need to say something before we go in there. What? I'm sorry. For leaving, for hiding the pregnancy, for making decisions about our family without including you. I was scared and I made choices that hurt everyone I love. Including yourself. Especially myself. Living without you and Emma for 8 months was the worst mistake of my life. What changed? What made you decide to tell me about the baby? I didn't decide to tell you. Fate decided for me. If Emma hadn't gotten sick, if you hadn't brought her to the hospital at the exact moment I went into labor, I would have continued hiding from you forever. So you would have raised our son alone rather than face the possibility that we could work things out? I would have raised him alone rather than risk being rejected again. Rejected again? Zara, I never rejected you. You didn't reject me, but you didn't fight for me either. When I said I was leaving, you let me go. Ryan felt the truth of her words hit him like a physical blow. I let you go because I thought that's what you wanted. You said you needed space, that you weren't ready for the responsibility of raising Emma. I said I wasn't sure I was good enough to be her mother. You heard that as me not wanting to be her mother. And I should have fought harder to convince you that you were already perfect for both of us. We both made mistakes, Ryan. The question is whether we can do better this time. Before Ryan could answer, Emma appeared in the doorway holding a small wrapped present. Mommy Zara, I made something for you while you were gone. Daddy helped me keep it safe in case you came back." Zara unwrapped the gift to find a handmade book titled, My Family, with drawings of Ryan, Emma, and herself doing various activities together: cooking, reading, playing at the park. The final page showed all three of them with a baby, and the caption read, "When Mommy Zara comes home, we'll have a baby too." "Emma, this is beautiful. When did you draw the baby?" "Last month. I knew God was going to bring you home and bring us a baby. I just didn't know it would happen on the same day." Zara felt tears streaming down her face as she realized that Emma had never stopped believing in their family, even when the adults had given up hope. "How did you know I'd come back?" "Because families belong together. And you're my mommy, so you belong with me and Daddy." That evening, after they'd fed baby Ryan, given Emma a bath, and read 3 storybooks about big sisters and new babies, Ryan and Zara sat on the couch where they'd spent countless evenings before everything fell apart. "This feels surreal," Zara said, watching baby Ryan sleep peacefully in the bassinet they'd quickly assembled in the living room. "Good surreal or bad surreal?" "Terrifying surreal. Like I'm going to wake up and discover this was all a dream and I'm still alone in my apartment." "You're not dreaming. And you're not alone anymore. Ryan, we need to talk about practical things. My lease, my job, how we're going to blend our lives back together." "What kind of job?" "I've been working at a pediatric clinic. Receptionist and patient coordinator. It doesn't pay much, but it gave me health insurance for the pregnancy." "Did you like it?" "I loved it. Working with children and families reminded me of what I missed about being with you and Emma." "So you want to keep working?" "If we can figure out childcare for baby Ryan. I don't want to be financially dependent on you, Ryan. I want to contribute to our family." "Our family? I like how that sounds." "Do you? Even with all the complications? Even with me disappearing for 8 months and keeping secrets and making everything harder than it needed to be? Especially with all the complications. Easy love stories are boring. Ours is complicated and messy and real." "What about Emma? What if she starts to resent baby Ryan for taking attention away from her?" "Emma has been asking for a baby brother since she learned how babies are made. She's going to be the best big sister in the world." "And us? What are we to each other now?" Ryan moved closer to her on the couch, taking her hands in his. "We're whatever we choose to be. We can be co-parents who raise our children together but maintain separate relationships. We can be friends who share custody and holidays. Or we can be what we were before fear made us stupid. We can be a couple who loves each other and is committed to building a life together despite all the obstacles. What if I get scared again? What if I make more mistakes? Then we work through them together instead of you disappearing and me letting you go. Is that a promise?" "That's a promise. No more running away, no more giving up, no more letting fear make our decisions for us." Zara looked at this man who had welcomed her back into their life without conditions or accusations, who had been present for their son's birth despite his shock and confusion, who had spent 8 months setting a place for her at dinner because their daughter refused to give up hope. "Ryan, I love you. I've loved you every day for 8 months, even when I was trying to convince myself that leaving was the right choice. I love you too. And I want to marry you. Now. Eventually. When you're ready. When we've rebuilt the trust that fear damaged. When Emma and baby Ryan are old enough to be our ring bearers." "You want Emma to be part of our wedding?" "I want Emma to be part of everything. She's the reason we met, the reason we became a family, the reason you're here right now instead of raising our son alone." "How is she the reason I'm here?" "Because if she hadn't gotten sick and needed to go to the hospital, you would have given birth without me knowing. Emma's fever brought us all together." Zara looked at baby Ryan sleeping peacefully, then at the staircase where Emma was dreaming about being a big sister, then at Ryan who was offering her everything she'd been too afraid to believe she deserved. We're really doing this? Building a life together with 2 children and complicated histories and all the fears that drove us apart before. We're really doing this. All of it. Together. Even the 3 a.m. feedings and diaper changes and Emma's questions about why babies cry so much? Especially those things. That's what families do. They take care of each other through all the beautiful, messy, complicated parts of life. As if summoned by their conversation, baby Ryan began to cry, and both parents moved simultaneously to comfort him. Working together to soothe their son felt like the most natural thing in the world, and watching Ryan hold their baby while singing softly made Zara understand that love hadn't disappeared during their separation. It had just been waiting for the right moment to bring them home. The emergency that could have been a tragedy had become the miracle that reunited their family. And this time, no one was walking away. 2 weeks into their new life as a reunited family, Ryan discovered that love and good intentions weren't always enough to overcome the practical challenges of blending lives that had been separate for 8 months. Baby Ryan's feeding schedule had disrupted everyone's sleep. Emma was experiencing the normal jealousy of a displaced only child, and Zara was struggling with postpartum emotions complicated by the stress of rebuilding her relationships. "Emma, you cannot put your toys in baby Ryan's crib," Zara said firmly, removing a collection of small plastic animals that posed a choking hazard. "We've talked about this 3 times today. But he looks lonely. He needs friends to play with. He needs to be safe more than he needs friends right now." Emma's lower lip trembled with the indignation of a 4-year-old who was trying to be helpful but kept being told she was doing things wrong. "You're being mean to me. Daddy never said I was being bad before you came back." The accusation hit Zara like a physical blow, confirming her worst fears about disrupting the peaceful dynamic Ryan and Emma had established during her absence. "Emma, Mommy Zara isn't being mean," Ryan said, appearing in the nursery doorway with dark circles under his eyes that matched Zara's. "She's keeping baby Ryan safe, which is what mommies do. But I want to help take care of him. You can help by being a good big sister and following the safety rules we've talked about." "I don't want to follow rules. I want baby Ryan to like me." Emma burst into tears and ran to her room, slamming the door with the dramatic flair that only 4-year-olds could achieve. Baby Ryan, disturbed by the noise, began crying too, adding to the chaos that had become their daily reality. "I'm failing at this," Zara said, sinking into the rocking chair while baby Ryan continued to wail. "I've been back for 2 weeks and Emma already resents me for changing everything." "You're not failing. You're learning. We're all learning how to be a family of 4 instead of a family of 2. But Emma was right. You never had to correct her constantly before I came back. I'm making everyone's life harder. You're making everyone's life different. That's not the same thing." Before Ryan could elaborate, his phone rang with a call from his sister Jessica in California. "Ryan, I just saw the photos on Facebook. You didn't tell me you were back together with Zara. We're figuring things out. And that you had another baby? Ryan, what is going on? You've been raising Emma alone for 8 months, and suddenly you have a girlfriend and a newborn." Ryan stepped into the hallway to continue the conversation privately, but Zara could hear enough to understand that his family was surprised and concerned about their sudden reunion. "Jessica, it's complicated. Zara and I have a history, and baby Ryan is mine." "How is the baby yours if you've been broken up for almost a year?" "Because Zara was pregnant when she left, and she didn't tell me until she gave birth." "She hid a pregnancy from you for 9 months? Ryan, that's not normal behavior. That's manipulative behavior." "It's not manipulative. She was scared." "Scared of what?" "Scared of you being a responsible father? Scared of you supporting your own child." Zara felt tears forming as she heard Ryan's sister voice the same concerns that had been echoing in her own mind. How could she expect people to understand choices that she was still struggling to explain to herself? The conversation continued with Jessica expressing worry about Ryan taking on too much responsibility too quickly, especially with Emma to consider. When Ryan returned to the nursery, his expression showed the strain of defending their family to people who didn't understand their story. "Your sister thinks I'm crazy," Zara said before he could speak. My sister thinks I'm crazy for taking you back without more discussion about what happened. Maybe she's right. Maybe she doesn't understand that some decisions are made by the heart instead of the head. Their conversation was interrupted by Emma appearing in the doorway, her face blotchy from crying but her expression determined. "Mommy Zara, I'm sorry I was bad about the toys." "Oh, sweetheart, you weren't bad. You were trying to be a good big sister. Come here." Emma climbed into Zara's lap while she held baby Ryan, creating the picture of family unity they were all working toward. "Emma, I need to tell you something important," Zara said carefully. "Sometimes when grown-ups are learning how to be a family, they make mistakes. I might be extra worried about keeping baby Ryan safe because I don't want anything bad to happen to him. Like when I was extra worried about sharing my toys because I thought you might leave again?" The perceptiveness of her observations stunned both adults into silence. "Yes, exactly like that. We're all a little scared because we love each other so much. But we don't have to be scared anymore because we're together now, right?" "Right," Ryan said firmly. "We're together now and we're staying together." The domestic crisis was resolved, but that evening brought a different kind of challenge when Zara's mother called with news that sent their fragile stability into turmoil. "Zara, I've been thinking about this situation with Ryan and the baby, and I think you need to be very careful about legal protections." "What do you mean, Mom?" "I mean you need to establish paternity legally, and you need to make sure your rights as the mother are protected if this relationship doesn't work out again. Ryan isn't going to try to take baby Ryan away from me. Honey, he's a man with significantly more financial resources than you have. If you break up again, he could afford lawyers that you couldn't fight against." "Mom, that's not who Ryan is. That's who every man becomes when custody and money are involved. I want you to see a lawyer and establish a formal custody agreement that protects you." After Zara hung up, she sat in their bedroom feeling the weight of external pressures that threatened to undermine the trust they were rebuilding. "What's wrong?" Ryan asked, noticing her troubled expression. "My mother thinks I should get a lawyer to establish formal custody agreements in case we break up again." "Do you think we're going to break up again?" "I don't want to break up again. But I also didn't want to break up the first time, and I still did it. Because you were scared and making decisions alone. This time, we make decisions together." "But what if your family convinces you that taking me back was a mistake? What if you decide that Emma would be better off without the complications I bring?" "Zara, look at me." She raised her eyes to meet his, seeing the same steadiness that had drawn her to him originally. "I'm not going to change my mind about wanting you in our lives. My sister's concerns come from love, but they don't change my feelings about our family. And if I get scared again? If I start making bad decisions because I'm overwhelmed or insecure? Then we talk about it before you pack a suitcase. We work through problems instead of running from them. What about legal protection? Should we have formal custody agreements? If it would make you feel safer, we can draw up whatever legal documents you want. But Zara, I want you to have legal protection because you're the mother of my children, not because I don't trust you." Both children. Both children. Emma chose you as her mother long before baby Ryan was born. Legally formalizing that might be good for all of us. You'd want me to have legal parental rights to Emma? I'd want Emma to have the security of knowing that both her parents are committed to her forever, regardless of what happens between us romantically. The conversation was interrupted by Emma's voice over the baby monitor in baby Ryan's room. "Baby Ryan, I know you can't talk yet, but I want to tell you about our family. Daddy is the best daddy in the world, and Mommy Zara gives the best hugs. And me, I'm your big sister, which means I'll teach you everything important like how to tie shoes and why vegetables are yucky but we eat them anyway." Ryan and Zara listened to Emma's one-sided conversation with her brother, both understanding that their daughter was creating the foundation of sibling love that would sustain their family through any external challenges. "She's going to be okay," Zara said softly. "We're all going to be okay. Different than before, more complicated than we expected, but okay. Promise." Promise. No matter what anyone else thinks about our choices, no matter what legal documents we sign, no matter what challenges we face, we're going to be okay because we're choosing to be a family. As they prepared for another night of interrupted sleep and early morning feedings, both Ryan and Zara understood that building a family required more than love. It required commitment to working through every obstacle together rather than letting fear drive them apart again. The challenges were real, but so was their determination to overcome them. 3 months into their reunion, Ryan thought they had weathered the worst of the adjustment challenges until he came home from work to find Zara's suitcase open on their bed and her systematically packing baby clothes with the methodical precision of someone who had done this before. "What are you doing?" he asked from the doorway, though the sight made his stomach drop with familiar dread. "My mother is flying in tomorrow," Zara said without looking up from folding tiny onesies. "She wants to meet baby Ryan, and she's bringing a lawyer." "A lawyer for what?" "To discuss custody arrangements and to make sure I understand my legal rights before I make any permanent decisions about our relationship." "Permanent decisions like what?" "Like marrying you. Like legally adopting Emma. Like trusting that this family we've built can survive the kind of scrutiny that comes with your ex-wife's family." Ryan felt ice form in his veins. "What about my ex-wife's family?" "Your mother-in-law called today. Emma's grandmother. She heard about our reunion and about baby Ryan, and she has some very strong opinions about the kind of woman who should be raising her granddaughter." "Patricia called you directly?" "She called to inform me that she's been consulting with family court lawyers about grandparent visitation rights and the suitability of Emma's current living situation." Ryan sank onto the bed beside the suitcase, processing the implications of his late wife's mother inserting herself into their family dynamics. "What did she say exactly?" "She said that Emma's mother was a respectable woman who would never have hidden a pregnancy or abandoned a child. She said that Emma deserves stability, not the chaos of living with someone who has already proven unreliable. She said that if I truly loved Emma, I would remove myself from her life before causing more damage." Patricia has no legal standing to challenge Emma's living situation. She has enough legal standing to make our lives miserable with court battles and custody evaluations. And Ryan, what if she's right? What if I am causing chaos in Emma's life? "You're not causing chaos. You're Emma's mother." "I'm Emma's stepmother who disappeared for 8 months and came back with another man's baby. Our baby Ryan is our son, not another man's child." "But that's not how it looks to people who don't know our story. It looks like I left you and Emma, got pregnant by someone else, and came back when it was convenient." Ryan stood and moved to stop Zara's packing, taking her hands in his. "Is that what you think happened?" "No, but I think perception might be more powerful than reality when it comes to protecting Emma from a custody battle." "What are you saying?" "I'm saying maybe I should take baby Ryan and move back to my apartment until we can figure out a way to be together that doesn't put Emma at risk." "No." Ryan's voice carried a firmness that surprised them both. "No, you're not running away again." "I'm not running away. I'm protecting Emma." "You're running away. Just like you did 8 months ago when you decided that leaving was easier than staying and fighting for our family. This is different. This is about legal threats and Emma's welfare. This is about you getting scared and defaulting to the same pattern of abandonment that caused all these problems in the first place." The accusation hung between them, and Zara felt the truth of it settle into her bones like a familiar ache. What if Patricia is right, Ryan? What if Emma would be better off with someone more stable, more respectable, more worthy of being her mother? What if you stopped letting other people define your worth and started trusting the family that chose you? Before Zara could respond, Emma appeared in the doorway wearing her pajamas and the expression of a child who had been listening to adult conversations she didn't fully understand. "Mommy, Zara, are you packing to leave again?" The direct question from their daughter cut through all the rationalizations and excuses, leaving Zara face to face with the impact of her choices on the child who loved her unconditionally. "Emma, sweetheart, it's complicated." Are you leaving because of Grandma Patricia? Both adults stared at Emma in shock, realizing that she had understood more of the conversation than they'd realized. How do you know about Grandma Patricia? Ryan asked. She called when you were at work and Mommy Zara was feeding baby Ryan. She talked to me about Mommy in heaven and asked if I was happy living with Mommy Zara. What did you tell her? I told her that Mommy Zara is my mommy now and that Mommy in heaven would want me to be happy. I told her that baby Ryan is my brother and that we're a family. Zara felt tears streaming down her face as she realized that Emma had been defending their family while she had been planning to abandon it again. Emma, what if Grandma Patricia tries to make you live somewhere else? Then I'll tell the judge that I want to stay with my real family. The family that takes care of me and loves me and sets places for me at dinner. But sweetheart, sometimes adults make decisions that children don't get to choose. Then the adults are making bad decisions. The simple wisdom of a 4-year-old cut through the complexity of legal threats and social expectations, leaving both Ryan and Zara confronted with the truth that their daughter understood better than they did. Emma, come here, Zara said, sitting on the bed and pulling their daughter into her lap. I need to tell you something very important. What? I love you more than anything in the world. I love you and Daddy and baby Ryan so much that sometimes I get scared about not being good enough for our family. But you are good enough. You make the best pancakes and you sing the prettiest songs and you always know when I need extra hugs. What if other people don't think I'm good enough? Then other people are wrong. Ryan watched this conversation with growing understanding that Emma possessed a clarity about their family that the adults had lost in their fear and overthinking. Zara, he said gently, what does Emma think about our family? She thinks we belong together. What do you think about our family? I think I've been so afraid of losing you all that I keep trying to leave before I can be rejected. And what would happen if you stopped trying to leave and started trusting that we want you to stay? I don't know. I've never tried that. Want to try it now? Zara looked at the suitcase full of baby clothes, then at Emma who was watching her with the kind of hope that could break or heal a heart, then at Ryan who was offering her the chance to choose courage over fear. What about Patricia? What about the legal threats and the custody evaluation? We face them together. As a family. With lawyers of our own if necessary, but together. What if we lose? What if we win? What if we show the court that Emma is thriving in a stable, loving home with parents who are committed to her well-being? What if the judge thinks I'm unfit because I left before? Then we remind the judge that people can make mistakes and still be good parents. That families can overcome obstacles and still be strong. Emma climbed down from Zara's lap and began taking clothes out of the suitcase, refolding them and putting them back in the dresser with the determined efficiency of a child who had decided to take action. Emma, what are you doing? I'm unpacking your suitcase because you're not leaving. You're staying here with us where you belong. But Emma, what if? No what ifs. You're my mommy and this is your home and baby Ryan needs you and Daddy loves you and I love you and that's all that matters. As Emma continued her unpacking project, Ryan and Zara looked at each other over their daughter's head, both understanding that they had been given a choice by the person whose opinion mattered most. She's right, Zara said finally. Emma's right about everything. Does that mean you're staying? That means I'm staying. And fighting. And trusting that our family is strong enough to survive whatever challenges come our way. Even Patricia's legal threats? Especially Patricia's legal threats. Because Emma deserves parents who fight for her instead of parents who run away when things get difficult. And baby Ryan? Baby Ryan deserves parents who show him that love means staying, not leaving. As Emma finished her unpacking project and announced that the suitcase could go back in the closet where it belonged, Ryan and Zara understood that their daughter had just taught them the most important lesson about family. That commitment means choosing each other again and again, especially when choosing each other is hard. The test had revealed their greatest weakness, fear of abandonment and rejection, but it had also revealed their greatest strength, a daughter who refused to give up on them even when they wanted to give up on themselves. "So we fight?" Zara asked. "We fight," Ryan confirmed. "Together. All four of us? All four of us. Against anyone who tries to break up our family." 6 months later, the family court hearing that Patricia Wellington had initiated to challenge Emma's living situation had ended 3 hours ago, but Ryan, Zara, and their children were still sitting in the courthouse parking lot, processing the magnitude of what they had just accomplished together. "Did we really win?" Emma asked from her car seat, where she was entertaining baby Ryan with peekaboo games that made him giggle with pure joy. "We really won, sweetheart," Zara replied, turning to smile at both children. "The judge said that you get to stay with mommy and daddy forever, and that baby Ryan gets to grow up with his big sister. And Grandma Patricia can't try to take me away anymore? Grandma Patricia understands now that you're happy and safe with us," Ryan said diplomatically, though the court proceedings had been far more contentious than he wanted Emma to know. The 6-month legal battle had tested every aspect of their family's strength, but it had also proven something beautiful. When the four of them stood together, they were unbreakable. "Mr. and Mrs. Matthews?" Judge Sarah Hendricks had said during the final hearing, using the married name that Ryan and Zara had legally adopted 2 months earlier in a simple courthouse ceremony with Emma as their flower girl and baby Ryan as their ring bearer. "Yes, Your Honor," they had replied in unison. "I've reviewed all the evidence presented by both parties, including the testimony from Emma's teachers, her pediatrician, her counselor, and the social worker who conducted the home evaluation." Patricia Wellington and her lawyer had presented their case with clinical precision. Zara's 8-month abandonment, her hidden pregnancy, the instability of a household with 2 young children and parents who had broken up and reunited. But Ryan and Zara had presented something more powerful, testimony from everyone who had witnessed their family's love, growth, and commitment. Emma's teacher reports that she has never been happier or more secure, Judge Hendricks had continued. Her academic performance is excellent, her social development is on track, and she speaks about her family with obvious love and pride. The pediatrician confirms that both children are thriving under their parents' care. Baby Ryan is meeting all developmental milestones, and Emma shows no signs of stress or instability despite the household changes. Most importantly, when I spoke with Emma privately about her preferences, she was clear, articulate, and consistent about wanting to remain with the parents she has chosen. The judge had paused, looking directly at Patricia Wellington with the kind of expression that suggested she had seen many grandparents mistake their own grief for the best interests of the child. "Mrs. Wellington, I understand that you love your granddaughter and that your concerns come from wanting to protect her. However, the evidence overwhelmingly supports the conclusion that Emma is not only safe in her current home but thriving in ways that benefit her emotional, physical, and psychological development. Furthermore, the court finds that Mr. and Mrs. Matthews have demonstrated the kind of commitment to family stability that serves Emma's best interests. Their willingness to undergo counseling, to formalize their relationship through marriage, and to pursue legal adoption proceedings shows a level of dedication that benefits both children. The formal adoption papers that made Zara legally Emma's mother and Ryan legally baby Ryan's father had been signed immediately after the custody hearing, creating the kind of permanent family bonds that no external threat could challenge. "So now we're officially official?" Emma had asked as they left the courthouse steps. "Now we're officially official," Zara had confirmed. "You're legally my daughter, baby Ryan is legally daddy's son, and nothing can change that. Even if you and daddy get in fights sometimes? Even if we get in fights sometimes. Because families work through problems together instead of giving up on each other." Now, as they sat in the courthouse parking lot watching Emma make baby Ryan laugh with silly faces, Ryan and Zara marveled at how much their family had grown in strength and love despite, or perhaps because of, every challenge they'd faced. "What are you thinking?" Zara asked, noting Ryan's contemplative expression. "I'm thinking that a year ago, I was a single father terrified of handling medical emergencies alone. Today, I'm a married father of 2 children with a partner who makes every challenge easier to handle. And I'm thinking that a year ago, I was so afraid of not being good enough that I was planning to raise our son in secret. Today, I'm the legal mother of 2 amazing children and the wife of a man who never gave up on our family. What about tomorrow? Emma asked, having overheard their conversation with the kind of selective hearing that 4-year-olds possessed. Tomorrow we celebrate, Ryan announced. Tomorrow we have the biggest family party ever to celebrate that we're officially the Matthews family forever. Can we invite everyone? My teachers and my friends and baby Ryan's doctor and the nice judge lady? We can invite everyone who helped us become a family, Zara agreed. Everyone who believed in us when things were hard. That's a lot of people, Emma observed. We must be really good at being a family if so many people helped us. As they drove home to the house that now legally belonged to all 4 of them, Ryan and Zara reflected on the journey that had brought them from a medical emergency to a thriving family unit. Do you ever regret how complicated our story is? Zara asked as they pulled into their driveway. Never. I regret the pain we caused each other, but I don't regret the path that brought us here. Even the parts where I made terrible decisions and almost destroyed everything? Especially those parts. Because they taught us both that love isn't just about the easy moments, it's about choosing each other through the difficult ones too. That evening, as they put both children to bed in the house where Emma had never stopped setting a place for Zara at dinner and where baby Ryan would grow up knowing he was wanted and loved by both parents, their family felt complete in ways that went far beyond legal documents or court decisions. Mommy, Zara? Emma said as Zara tucked her in. I have a question. What's your question, sweetheart? Are you going to have more babies? Would you like more babies in our family? I would like a baby sister next time. Baby Ryan is the best baby brother, but I think I would be good at teaching a baby sister things too. We'll see what happens, Zara replied diplomatically. But Emma, even if we have more babies, you'll always be my first daughter and my special big sister helper. And baby Ryan will always be my first baby brother. Exactly. In the nursery next door, Ryan was singing softly to baby Ryan, who was fighting sleep with the determination of a child who didn't want to miss anything exciting. Your big sister loves you so much, Ryan whispered. And your mommy and I love you both more than all the stars in the sky. Baby Ryan responded with the kind of contented sigh that indicated he felt safe, loved, and exactly where he belonged. Later, as Ryan and Zara sat together on their couch reviewing the family photos that had been taken throughout their legal battle, pictures that showed 2 children thriving despite adult complications, they marveled at the resilience of the family they had built. Look at this one, Zara said, pointing to a photo of Emma teaching baby Ryan to clap his hands. She's such a natural big sister. Look at this one, Ryan replied, showing her a picture of all 4 of them sleeping in the hospital room the night baby Ryan was born. We look like we were always meant to be together. Maybe we were. Maybe everything that happened, my leaving, your raising Emma alone, the medical emergency that brought us together, maybe it was all leading to this moment. This moment of what? This moment of understanding that families aren't perfect, but they're worth fighting for. That love isn't just about feelings, it's about choices we make every day to stay and work and grow together. And what choice are you making for tomorrow? I'm choosing us. All 4 of us. For tomorrow and every day after that. Even when things get hard again? Especially when things get hard again. Because that's when families prove what they're made of. As they prepared for bed in the house where Emma still kept Zara's place at the dinner table and where baby Ryan would grow up knowing that emergency rooms could bring miracles as well as medical crises, Ryan and Zara understood that their love story had become something more powerful than romance. It had become proof that chosen families, fought for families, and legally protected families could overcome any obstacle when love and commitment worked together. The emergency that had reunited them had led to the legal victory that secured them. Their family was officially, legally, and permanently complete.
Thank you for watching this story to the end. If you enjoyed this story, you will surely love the next one. It's as crazier and more intriguing as you can ever imagine. So do check it out. Click on the image showing on your screen right now to watch the next one.